see. Am I live? I am live. All right. Gouda. Let me still getting things set up. I suppose I'll go back to Worldographer. Let me pop Worldographer up. Oh my. Well, all right. Worldographer. I was looking for my my phone. I may have to stop and get my phone at some point. If it's not directly surrounding me, but I'll leave it alone for now. All right, let me get what we got going on here. Opening up our hex stocking example. We're back here. Now I need to. All right, I guess I'm going to switch over. Boop, boop. That work? Okay. Yep. No, let's see. I had it in Designer. Yeah, Affinity Designer, which I should not have used in retrospect, but I did. I'll have to convert it over to something later. We're doing the layer stocking. Let's see, window, studio. All right, studio. There we go. Moving things around. All right, let me refresh my memory now that I think I'm basically where I was. So we had in this area here. Oh, add. Click on the right thing. Layer. So this I think was either two layers, one here. No, maybe it was this one and this one. It's interesting. Hey, Ian. Morning, afternoon, sticking with morning. Technically, it just flipped past noon, but I won't hold it against you either way. Here's some just orange mandarin seltzer for the working man, not Spindrift. This is actually, I have the bottle here in case I want more. Vintage seltzer. Ooh. It's actually much less expensive. Frou-frou, it's kind of old school, but it tastes good. It tastes good. Where's my chair on again? All right. So I had merged these together, but then I ended up coming up with two things. So what I might do is actually split these up again. Put the dwarf, which I think is fine because all this stuff is just about getting something you like. I don't care. This is something I feel like people need to hear over and over again, and not the least of which me myself. All that matters is what you come up with. There's no one's going to run some kind of test sweep on whatever I come out and say, you broke the rule here, there, you did it. It's all about what speaks to you. So I think just for the sake of things, I'm going to move a couple things around. I'm going to make this a little kind of trinity of things. So we'll put the rocks will be here. Whoops, sorry. So we'll call this rock nest. And I wonder if I'll make, I think because they average small, but I wonder if they both need to be small. I don't know. I don't know if they all need to be small rocks, but I'm gonna Control C that so I can just keep it, but I'm gonna get rid of these. Okay, save that one. Then I'm going to what kind of creature? Whoops, not cosmic. What kind of creature things do we have? Ooh, intriguing. Well, there we go. I like that. And they don't have one for kind of a humanoid, do they? I think for the displacer beasts, we could use. And we'll use the lion. And then we'll put the displacer beasts over there. Displacer beast lair. Four displacer beasts in a cave. Lair in a cave. Okay. So we got that. That's all good. And then we will put our. We don't have a human figure, do we? Do we have a? Because I like that. Are these all line arts? No, I don't like the. I don't like the line art. I'm not sure why you'd want to use. I guess that's just if you want to use that for terrain instead of you just used colors or something and then use the line art for terrain. That might be an interesting look, but I was hoping they'd be more of a. There's not a good one for just a guy. I don't want to use an army man. I mean, there's that, but he just seems seems too impressive for this lone dwarf. I don't want an army guy. Suppose I could use that guy. Yeah, we need one that's just. I guess I'll use that. We need one that's just. I don't know. Humanoid. All right, let's copy paste this back in here. And so we're going to get our second level dwarf is wounded, hiding, and trying to make their way out of the barrens. They were part of a company, a small company of dwarves. Yep. Okay, a second level dwarf is wounded, hiding, and trying to make their way out of the barrens. They were part of a small company of dwarves who were prospecting here, but were ambushed, who were prospecting here when they were ambushed by the displacer beasts. And I'm just going to put a note here that we're talking about 004.001. One dwarf, yeah, this dwarf escaped. This dwarf was the lone survivor. They escaped and are hiding in one of the canyons. Okay, second level dwarf is wounded, hiding, and trying to make their way out of the barrens. They were part of a small company of dwarves who were prospecting here when they were ambushed by the displacer beasts. 004, 001. This dwarf was the lone survivor. They escaped and are hiding in one of the caverns. In a canyon, I guess. In a canyon. Hiding in. I guess I don't need to say what they're doing. You can decide what they're doing. So here we have, granted, we turned it into kind of three. we took two, merged into one, put it back in three. But again, I think that's fine. All the results we get. But now we have this nice little story here in these barrens, and I'll come up with a other name, but I don't know, Badlands, Canyonlands. I'm not sure. Maybe there's there's kind of this is kind of a Grand Canyon sort of thing. I have no idea how the geology would work here. Maybe there's kind of some kind of barrier here, like a cliff, and then it drops down into this sort of thing where there's something here, and maybe this is the way you can get out is through these slopes. Who knows how that'll work? So we got that. So let's see what else we have. We've got the orc encampment. We've got the mercenary encampment. Say that name. I don't know if there's another way to look at these. I wish there was a way you could. There probably is. Save my. Is there a tool? Configure, generate. Options. Show details on hover. What does that do? Details of what? No. What are the details on hover? Building factory? Okay, I don't know. I just wish I could get all the notes. There probably is a way to export notes or something, right? Export select. Okay, export notes information HTML. All right, I'll have to try that thing. Again, things I've never tried. They don't tend to do it. Don't tend to use them. But now I'm thinking, just so I don't have to swap back and forth between a bunch of apps, it makes sense for me to do that here. All right, so the mercenary encampment, got it. We have this another orc encampment. Orc encampment here. So here's another. I want to connect these two. I want to connect these two together, and I think we've got these down here. So swamp. So what I'm going to do is, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove this guy, and I'm going to turn you into, boom. And I'm going to do the same up here. Okay. Now the question is, what's here? Is it another? I mean, I feel like swamp. It just makes sense that there's some kind of monster in the swamps. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to I'm going to make a road line. Let's see, snap to preset road. Way too big. I think 15, would that work? Stop. Oh gosh, that's huge. Huge. 5. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and we'll just gonna zigzag along here. There we go. Got a lovely road. A lovely road. Because what I'm thinking here is, if you that a nice little triangle here of there's some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? There's some sort of stronghold here. Maybe there's a monster here that's in the swamps, but then the road dips around the swamp, but then that's just kind of a fun thing. And then some kind of relationship between one of these or both and what's going on here. Oh, now I'm getting the highlighting. Oh, okay, now I am getting that. Oh, nice. Mucho better. Mucho better. Well, I don't know if it's better because it's giving. I think maybe it's is that because I have an extra return in there that it's giving me a BR, like it's HTML. It is. Did I get rid of it? Oh, I see. You have to turn off that. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So now I want to make a little bit of a love triangle between these three, which I have ideas for. I need to. We got this swamp guy here. So let me figure out what's going on in the swamp. So the swamp, going back to our layer stocking, something that's interesting is, and a couple of you who are in here, I'd be curious your takes if you want to share. What do you think the difference is? What would you say the difference is between a lair and a settlement? And a settlement could just be a lone house or a household or a farmstead. Okay, so a settlement could be anything from a tent, some sort of permanent or quasi-permanent domicile, multiple thereof, and then a lair, which is kind of the same thing. And we will often use lairs for monsters, but then we'll also think about lair, the bandit's lair, things like that. Right? Lots of things can lair, and it's not even just unintelligent because we talk about dragons' lairs. Well, dragons, I think, for most people's games are intelligent, maybe very intelligent, yet they still have a lair as opposed to calling it a settlement. What I was thinking of here was my thinking. If I wanted to come up with a meaningful, I know they have, so there's flavor differences because lair has much more of an animalistic, monstrous sort of thing than a settlement. My thought was that a settlement is somewhat kind of self-sufficient in a way, and I know that depending on the culture of the peoples, but that they're sort of living off. I feel like they're living off the land. They're kind of part of the land. Whereas I think a lair, it's almost like you're striking out and just grabbing resources from elsewhere. So if bandits had a lair, it's like a cave or somewhere right where they're just going out, they're raiding things and they're hiding their treasure there, and they're not really, in a sense, they haven't really settled it. They're just kind of, it's there. But if they settled it, in other words, they started kind of becoming one with making their own sort of community, then maybe it changes from a lair to something else. I'm not sure if that's entirely making sense, but I think it would be good because I'd like to talk about, I guess the reason why it occurs to me is because when I'm writing things and I'm talking about things, it would be great to have a clear difference of, well, what does it mean if we say we've generated a lair versus a settlement? Like, who can live in a settlement? Orcs, because I was talking about the encampment, and the mercs too, they could be settlements. It doesn't have to be a lair. It's just that's the word I used for it. But it does make us, I think it does make us look at things a certain way when you say it's a lair, as opposed to if we said it's an orc lair versus an orc village, I think you get very different ideas of what that means. So it's interesting to maybe delve into that a little bit and see like, well, okay, if we're saying it's a lair, then that says something, at least I think, about who those people are and kind of what they're doing in their relationship with the land. Whereas if you say it's an orc settlement, I think that that has a different thing. And it would be nice to differentiate between them in a way that's kind of meaningful so that when you say it, you can actually, instead of it just being a flavor thing, that it actually has a difference. But I haven't figured out how I would want to separate them out yet. And I'd love to come out with maybe a little bit of a better certainly a better definition, or at least a more cogent one. I'm gonna put a little bridge action over here, just to put a little bridge action there. So this is probably the bigger settlement, maybe, and this is a more minor settlement. So let's see, what have we got here? So who is living in these spots? Well, maybe let's do the, oh, Gary's here. Hey, Gary says, one of the aspects of a lair is its concealment, kind of like your idea about a settlement being different as part of the land. A lair seems separate. That's true. Yeah, lairs tend to be secret. There are going to be some edge cases, right? Because there is that trope of the hidden village kind of thing. So, but yes, you're right that settlements don't tend to be super secret. Lairs do. But yes, that's another good point. I think sometimes I get caught up in those edge cases too much because I think about going, oh yeah, well, what if it's like a secret redoubt, like Helm's, the caves in Helm's Deep, would you call that a lair? Or would you call? I mean, I guess you probably could. But I suppose it's what are you hiding from, right? Because a secret settlement is trying to hide itself, presumably from the environment, kind of from that. Whereas a lair is trying to hide from other. I don't know. Well, see, that's where you get caught in all kinds of start getting in all these edge cases, which I probably should just avoid. All right, so what are we gonna do? Maybe I should come up with a monster first. Let's look and see what monsters we've got available to us, and then I can figure it out. So I'm gonna go back to the wandering creature tables in BtS, which I guess I can pull up. Where's my Sumatra? There we go. All right, so I got this going on. Ian says a settlement implies trade. But does it though? Because what if you just got a full farming village? They don't, do they trade? Because I think of towns. I guess that's where I get into the type of settlement. Because a village to me does not imply trade, whereas a town to me is all about stuff like trade. Because I can conceivably see a village that does no trading at all. They are self-sufficient. There's some little number. Maybe they're isolated, and they just like a commune. They simply do for themselves. Whereas obviously towns and things like that are more about communicating, interacting with other things. What document did I just open and what did I get? This here, Jason, this is just expert set. This is the blue book. Oh, I guess I'll lose my page for a minute. You're looking at expert rules 1981 or 1980. Never mind. And I'm just using that for its table. So I'm on page X57. You can get it on drive-through. I'm sure if you want to support the channel, I'm sure I have an affiliate link somewhere. Do I? Hold on a minute. I might not. In any case, you can get it on you can get it on drive-through for some amount of monies. Hold on a minute. Whoops. Get that out of the way. Get thee gone. Hold on a minute. I'll dig up a link for it. Just give me a second. Let's see. Expert. I don't know if Dungeons and Dragons expert Beck me that one. And then, oops, give me 1 second. Let's see this. BX expert book. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go again. Here it is. There you go. And that is an affiliate link. It's just, if it bothers you, you can just search for BX. Okay. All right, back to this. So now I got to figure out what's in this. What is in this? What lurks? What lurks in the swamp? So going back to my stocking, right? We've got the stocking. I don't need the number first of all, but I guess I'll think about it. So we want to get our hazard points. Swamp is turbidity 3, peril 3. So that's 300. 300 points. Get 300 points. Let me just go ahead and just start this off. We have a layer. Our budget is 300 points. I don't really have any idea what to put in here. I have nothing. If I had something, I could go with that, and that's kind of the advantage of the points. Is like, hey, you can still feel like you're playing in your system while still picking stuff out. So let's roll an 8-sider and see what we get. Kind of would like something cool. What did I get? I got humanoids. Is that cool? Yeah, I suppose anything can be cool, right? What did I get? Oh, cocked. Hold on. I got lizard men. All right. Now I can look up lizard men. Lizard folk lair. 300 points is pretty good for lizard men. Let me see. Where is the stats for lizard men? I'm gonna say it's in the. I'm gonna assume it's in the basic books. I don't think they're that. They're not that. Yeah, they're not super. They're not super high end. So they're 2+1. So going back to this, they're 2 points. So that's 4 points. So a lizard man is 2+1 hit dice, which becomes 4 points, but this +1 oh, interesting. That's interesting. The +1 ends up adding more, ends up being 9 points. Maybe it would be half. I bet you. I'm gonna say it's half. Cost additional. Though a creature's HD plus cost an additional points equal to half their base cost per plus. Yeah, 6 times 10 plus 3. Okay, I think that makes sense. That makes more sense. So then we go 2, which would be 4 hit points. That's 4, and they have 1 plus, so they're actually 6. 6 points, or sorry, 4, 6, 4, then plus half of the 4, 2, so 6 points each. 6 points each. That means we could have 50 lizard men if we wanted to. Is there anything? Do we get any cool organizational rules about lizard men? According to the basic set, these water-dwelling creatures look like men with lizards' heads and tails. They live in tribes. They will try to capture humans and demi-humans and take the victims back to the tribal lair as the main course of a feast. Oh, nice. They're semi-intelligent. Use weapons such as spears and large clubs. Okay, and they're strong. They're more often found in swamps, rivers, and along seacoasts. Okay, so nothing really about them. So we'll just say that makes this a little dangerous patch of road here. But maybe they're on the other side of the swamp, or maybe there's something. This does give us a. Yeah, because all right, that gives us another thing we can put in here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that there's going to be some kind of tower, some kind of observation here. All right, so it's 6 points each. So if we could just do 50 lizard men, lizard folk. Seems like a lot, but I think we can take a higher level critter as a base for for a like a leader type. A leader. Let's see. So we've got. I'm just looking here. We have Minotaurs. Yeah, they don't have a gore, but they have a bite. All right, so let's. I guess we're going to be making a critter today. Those are folk alpha. I don't know if that's even a good term. Larger, greater lizard folk, lesser lizard folk. Maybe we'll do that. I guess we could still have the alpha for the leader. So they're, 6 points each, right? So as lizard man, as lizard men. Okay. And then we can have the greater lizard folk, which are as minotaurs. 6 hit dice. And we'll just put a note here. Replace gore with tail whip. Whip. And they are 10 points each. So they're 60 points each. All right, so now we have 2 types. So this is fun. We're gonna have 2 types of lizard folk. Do I have a bold? Yes, I do, right there. And then maybe the alpha. Alpha as 8 HD Minotaur. That would be 80 points. Now we can start to figure things out. So we're going to have one alpha. All right. Population. Can put some bullets. So we have one alpha, so that's 80 points, down to 220. Now, let's see. I could have 2 or 3 80 points. If I have 3, that's 180. All right, so let's see. Hold on, it's 3 greater lizard folk. Hold on, let me put the numbers in here. So that's 80. This ends up being 180. Now we're to 260, so that leaves us 40 left. And then let's see. Oh, interesting. So I can only get 6. So maybe 2 greater lizard folk. That'd be 120. That's 200. Right? And that would mean that I could have. That's 200, so I have 100 left. I could have 10. Let's see, I could have. I can't have 20. So that's now too much. I could have 10. That would be 60, which would leave me 40 left. Let's see. I could have 12. That'll be 72. Let's try that. So 12 lizard folk. That's 72 points. And then I can have some hostages or something else, which I know I'm putting hostages in these counts, but I could have just I suppose I could have just some non-combatants. So let's see, that leaves me 28. Right? 28 left. So then I can have 4 warriors, 4 lesser lizard folk. Just put non-combatants. That's 24, and then I have 4 left. Right? So that could be 4 hostages or 4 prisoners. We'll call it 4 prisoners. 4 prisoners. 4. All right. Save that just so I can save it. Yeah, I like that. I'm down with that. Non-combatants. 4 prisoners. All right. Just go. Don't need to keep all the point values. We got to figure it out. So I definitely like. I do find myself appreciating this point by approach, just in terms of how it gets me thinking about things just a little bit differently than I might if I was just flat out rolling dice. I think it definitely encourages, as you try to massage the numbers to get the most bang for your buck, you end up coming up with these. Like, I probably wouldn't, I mean, I could have just done 50 lizard folk. It just 50 seems like a lot for this kind of swampy area, especially since and I'm not going to, obviously in our own campaigns, lizard folk can be however you want. At the moment, I'm just using the book version. So as it seems like folks that are mostly raiding other settlements for their food, or at least what's the word? That's a part of their diet, I guess. That's maybe one way to say it. Then it probably makes sense to have less of them, but that they're kind of formidable. So this having, you only have, it's a small group. It's one of these alphas. So 3. There's 15. There's 19. 19 total of the lizard folk, which is a really small number. They got 4 prisoners, and who knows what they're going to do with them. I suppose by the book they're going to get ready to eat them, but we could change that if we wanted to. And then, but they're formidable because the warriors are no joke. But then you have the greater ones that are basically 6 hit die, and then the alpha is an 8 hit die. That's nothing to write home about. That's nothing to laugh at. So there might be a reason why you can have this area of the swamp that's pretty dangerous, but it's not just like there's 100 of them. No, there's a small number, but you better treat them with a little respect. Put some respect on their names. They're no flukes. But what I also was gonna do is, and remember, it's all about the how we get to it doesn't really matter, right? So I'm gonna add a feature here, because I think there would be a tower. I could put it. It would be in one of these. I'm going to put it here, I think, and it just makes sense that if we got some settlement here, there might be a village here. They're definitely going to want something watching that, and maybe even this road, we would turn it and it would kind of go like that, and even further away, but I'm fine keeping it on the border because it's all abstract. Doesn't mean that it's right on the edge of the swamp. That just makes sense to me, that if you know that there are these lizard folk, who knows how long they've been there, but you might put something, and maybe it's only a wooden structure. Maybe it's something that, it's not that many lizard men, and if you think about it, this is not, a breeding population of lizard folk. Maybe they traveled, they came, maybe I don't know which way the river flows. Maybe the river flows kind of southwards, that they kind of came down and these guys settled here. So that, or they swam up. This is another one. Maybe they were driven off because it's close. Kind of this area is close. Maybe they're driven off and now they're here. Some remainder. Oh, you know what? Let's just do that. Let's just make that story happen. Why am I talking about it like I can't just make that happen? Where is a ruin? Where is a ruin? A ruin, a ruin, a ruin. What is that? Oh, that's a, I don't need primitive. Yeah, we'll use the ruin. And we can put a note. Lizard folk village ruins. Village of lizard folk was raised by the, we don't have a name for it, by the settlement 005, and the survivors driven upriver to 001 to the swamp, into the swamp. 001 point was at 003. Cool. So we have a. All right, we got another little story here. So maybe these guys were, they're coming. Nope, now they're here, and only a few are left, but they do have some prisoners. Maybe they're going to do something with those prisoners. Maybe that's something that, in terms of adventuring, that the party could get a hold of. Maybe, right? Maybe. And then we got these two guys up here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna swamp. Oh, that's a good. I do like some of these icons, though I kind of feel like using too many different icons just makes it difficult to suss out what we're doing. So I'm gonna select this. I'm gonna delete it, and there is, I think, an encampment. I think there is an encampment kind of thing, right? Is that one? Yeah, military. We'll do military camp. There we go. And then, should that also be a camp? We can use the same thing. Yep. Okay. So here's our setup so far. So what we have left to do is to figure out who these people are. Now, I'm going to say that they're, we're just going to go with human centric. So I'm going to just go to men, and I'll see what tables we have for non. I really want to see if it's a who lives in the castle. I think there is. Isn't there something about that? I know there is in one of the books. I gotta figure out remember which it is and where it is. Castle encounters. I'll see most encounters witness being the high level PCs who have cleared yet one character discover a castle witness. They will be unsure of the type. Not planned. Okay, but how do we know? Yeah. How do we know how it's? Let me see who owns the castle. Who owns the castle? Where is? Right, there's chainmail. Oh no, this is other stuff I might get into, but not yet. So I don't think chainmail is gonna have that rule, but monsters and treasure, magic. Where is it? No, I'm not looking for any of those. I'm looking for Greyhawk. No, I don't know. Where is it? Monsters and treasure, magic. I just had it yesterday. Did I? Where did I put it? Didn't I? Didn't I just have it out yesterday? Yeah, I know I did. I know I did. What did I do with it? Now the enduring mystery of where went my book. Where went my book? Where did I put it? Well, gosh darn it, did I take it out into the other room for some reason and then forget to bring it back? I don't know where I put it. Monsters and Treasure, Men and Magic, Greyhawk. No, that's not what I want. I want... Well, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Well, it has vanished. All right. It's vanished. That's really odd. Wait a minute. No. Nope, it didn't vanish. It's here. We're good. All right. Let's see if they have a... see if they have for castles and whatnot. Wilderness. The Wilderness on 14. You want to follow along. The Wilderness. All right, so I can roll a d6 to see. We're looking at page 15. Page 15 of Underworld and Wilderness Adventures. 1d6. Oh, it's a Lord. There you go. And now it has another thing about its guards, retainers, which can have... So you can get some really... This is something I think we miss, and I will admit to this myself. I don't know if I'm showing that in the right spot, but you get these cool things of like the retainer type. So you can have a Lord, right, who's got retainers that are dragons, heroes, trolls. I'm gonna see if there's anything really cool. And really, it does give a much different, fairy sort of fairy tale kind of vibe to it. So let me read it here. Castles okay, so they're talking about outdoor survival. So that ponds indicate castles, right? Because they're using the pond symbol in outdoor survival for castles. The inhabitants of these strongholds are determined at random. Occupants of these castles will venture out if a party of adventurers pass nearby. Passing over the castle hex, there's a 50% chance that they will come out. If 1 hex away, there is a 33% chance. And if 2 hexes away, there is only a 16% chance. Basically, 3 to 6, 2 to 6, 1 and 6 chance. If the party is on the castle hex and hails the castle, the occupants will always come forth if the party is not obviously very strong and warlike. Patriarchs are always lawful, evil high priests are always chaotic. All their castle inhabitants will be either hostile to the adventurers or neutral. Determine the occupant of the castle as follows. So there's, they're meaning neutral here in their reaction, which you could probably just roll. I would just roll a normal reaction, but if you wanted to do that this way, you could. And then we got some notes here. So I rolled a Lord. So they're let's see. Their possible retainers are either I think champs is champions. There's a whole bunch of... hold on a minute. There's a whole they're using superscript little notations, but I don't think they made the number after indicating the type die to use to determine how many I see. So it says champs, which I think means champions, and you roll a d8. If they have griffins, it would be a d6. Myrmidons, you'd roll a d10. Giants, a d4. So a lord can't have dragons, but they might have griffins. And then if you have griffins, then you actually have heroes who ride the griffins. They would just not only have griffins, but they would griffin riders, which is pretty cool. However, a wizard can have dragons, and chimeras, wyverns, or basilisks. And the necromancers can have manticores. So there's a lot of neat things here. So we got a lord. So I guess let's do this. So all right. So this is a castle. So we have a home of Lord. We don't have a name yet. X. So let's see. Well, we'll use this chart for right now. Why not? So they have champions. I was kind of hoping they'd have something more exotic, but I'm gonna go with what we got. And with 4 champions, what level is a champion again? Because they're referring to, so when they're talking about things like Lord, Champion, all that stuff, they're referring to the level names, right? So a Lord, I think, is level 8 or maybe 10. Ooh, what is it? No, 8. 8 is a superhero, I think, still. I mean, I'm saying still in BX, yeah. So it's 9, right? So Lord 9, who is a 9, level 9 fighter. Okay. Hey, Brian, got to play some MCDM, Draw Steel. Nice. What was Draw Steel like, Brian? Let me, if you want to write it up in the forums, or if you just want to chat it out here, but I'd love to hear how your Draw Steel experience was. I can definitely imagine it would be a good old tactical time. I mean, I think the thing is with Draw Steel, if you don't have a good tactical time, I think it's failed, because I think that a lot of what it's doing is trying to give you that good tactical experience. Well, I feel like I think I already did a video on tactics, but I feel like people talk about tactics the wrong way. And I think there's some discussion to be had, because I think people, and I'm not saying, Brian, that you're doing this, but I just think in general, people will sort of think of tactics in terms of like your option, your number of power options, which I don't think has anything to do with tactics. Because if you think about it, Go, chess, they all have super deep, infinitely deep tactics, and you don't have tons of power. I mean, Go, every piece acts the same, and in chess, you have, each type of piece acts in a certain way. But it's all about the moving and acting. Like if your position's important, and that affects things, and you can act, and that affects things. I think you have tactics. So you don't need a whole bunch of things to have tactics. And I think people get caught up in that. Well, my fighter only has a couple of things to do, therefore it's not tactical. And I don't think that's true at all. But I think, especially with games, and maybe it's our own fault for basically running encounters like we're just Napoleonic fronts, just walking up into each other. But that, I'll save it for another time. I swear I did that already, but I can always do it again. Maybe I can do it better. I'll say, Brian says, it very much gives you crunch and options during combat. Positioning was very important. Order of players' moves. It all plays well together. Like dark chocolate, it's tactical. And if you like that, I guess you're going to like it. So it's like dark chocolate. If you like that, you're going to like it. Well, I'm glad. I mean, and that seems about right, because I think that's kind of the 4E experience. And I think I've felt this for a long time, that this is kind of his 4th edition Heartbreaker. So it totally makes sense. How long was your combat, Brian, if I may ask? Because that was where 4E start to get really bogged down. And even in the MCDM example combat they ran a while back, for something that was not super complicated or didn't have a lot of people, it took a long time. A long time. Obviously, if you're engaged, it doesn't matter how long it takes. But I think, and this is where this is what my question will be with Draw Steel, is how does the interest that you have last? Because I'm going to tell you, when I played 4th edition for the first while, I really enjoyed it. Those combats where, you're moving people around, and it feels very much like you're having this chess match, and I'm doing this, and I was playing the Warlord, which was really all about not just moving other people around, trying to put them in the best position, and it was great. But it just, that feeling, it didn't last. And I think you end up getting, you end up, things, you're ramping up, you're getting up levels, so things are getting more difficult, and all these issues that maybe don't show up so much in one combat when you're, say, at a low level or whatever, all that stuff just started to come out. And I'll be curious about with the Draw Steel stuff, is that, hey, you have this one great combat night. Oh yeah, it's great. But now, okay, as your weekly sessions and those sessions are going, because I was playing every week consistently for months, and then it goes from like, yeah, to like, okay, to like, I mean, sure, you go up a level and you get a new ability, and you're like, yeah. And then, but it just was like, okay. And I guess that kind of diminishing returns sets in. And that's where I think I'm wondering if they can fix that. Can they fix that? Can they give you this crunch where you're going to be doing these long combats and then they're only going to get longer? As you go up levels, as everything ramps up, they're not going to get shorter. So if you're doing an hour combat at level 1, it's not going to be an hour combat at level 6. It just isn't. You're going to have more, even just in terms of the analysis part of it, you're going to have more powers, you're going to have more things, you're going to be up, it's just only going to get longer. And I think if someone just pulled out 4th edition and said, hey, we're going to play level 1 combat and do whatever, I bet you people would have an awesome time with it. I think if they just take it kind of as it is. But you're not playing one thing. You're playing over this period of time. And I think, like I said, I'll see. I'm curious. Going to be curious to see. They got some smart people working on it. Can they kind of break? Can they go where 4E couldn't do? And I haven't played Lancer or Red Lancer, so I don't know if Lancer, because I know that was another 4E kind of retro, or sort of clone ish. I know. I think it's now mechs instead of whatever, but I think their base was basically 4th edition. And I don't know if they solved it either, one way or another, but I'll be curious if the Colville team is able to. Brian says that 4 players fought 2 enemies and a couple of mooks, and it took an hour and a half. Brian said, in playing a tactician, they were playing a tactician, so they were trying to keep up when buffs trigger, when specific allies use specific actions in specific ranges. Easy for a computer to track, but big mental load for a human. Yes, so on the flip side, Brian, I guess we'll say this, is it does keep you engaged. Because if your combats are going to be long, so your turn might be coming up only once every 20 minutes, or something like that, then you want those things that are where you're keenly invested in other characters and other players and what they're doing or what the enemy is doing is a good thing, because you want to be looking at what you want to be invested in their actions, and this gives you a reason to. So if you're playing this tactician and you want to know if they're going to trigger something or whatever, then at least you're into it, you're paying attention, and it's not going to feel so bad, as opposed to if you're playing, vanilla fighter, if a BX fighter dropped in there and you've done your kind of I swing and I miss, and now it's like, well, I don't really, anything that happens around me has no impact on my move other than obviously if I get killed or something. But, for the most part, I could go to sleep and then wake up later. So maybe having that stuff to track, and assuming you're not using a VTT to do it all for you, is actually maybe a good thing. Whoops. All right. I didn't mean to close. I just want to save it. All right. So we have our level 9 fighter. Brian, it says engaged equals them staring off into space trying to formulate the order of when I need to mark, spend focus as trigger reaction, etc. Hey, I think that works. Like I love Wingspan, and Wingspan is a lot of this, a bunch of people playing essentially a solitaire game. But you have enough going on your board, and you're looking at everything, and you're trying to figure out your strategy, that even though, I guess it works in the sense that even though I might be waiting 20 minutes till my turn, I'm not just like sitting there. I'm thinking, I'm engaged with the game, right? So that works. That works for me. That works as well. You just don't want people to be bored. You just don't want to do it where people are just kind of like they have nothing to do. Obviously some people will not take advantage of that time to figure all their stuff, and then you call their number and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, what's going on? But assuming you're actually, in it, then I think having some things to think about in between turns, when you're going to have turns take a while, is good. Brian said there was no swing, miss, end turn, so that was great. Yeah, I know that's definitely one of their things, right? Things just do damage. It's about a matter of how much damage. I do think, and it's just different. I haven't played some of the things just always hit, but I kind of feel like there is something. Maybe it's not worth it. I like to say that is the juice worth the squeeze, but there is that tension of when you're missing and maybe the enemy's missing and somebody's going to hit, and it's kind of like whoever gets that hit, it's going to flip things. It's going to be the tide is going to change. And that there is a tension there. Just like, I guess, in sports, if you're watching a team struggle at the plate, say in baseball, but there's always this like, is it going to be a no-hitter? Or are they just going to get kind of wiped off? Or are they going to, they're fouling them off, and what's going to happen? Maybe it's not worth it. I'd like to try one of those you never miss kind of games, or you always do damage kind of games, but I don't know. I think the problem is the swing miss thing is more. It's more about the length of those turns, because if that's all you're doing, if your turns are fast, like you're going through like this, then those swing misses don't matter too much. I think it's okay. I don't think that having that result is terrible because you're going through a lot of them. But if you're having that swing miss and then it's a half an hour and then swing miss and there's a half an hour, then that's probably a problem. Maybe definitely a problem. Brian, did you guys win? Did the forces of good, or at least not evil, triumph? All right, so what did I say? Oh, sorry. Let me go back to what I was doing. So I had to roll. I was going to roll for my. Oh, and I rolled 4. So 4 champions. So Lord is level 9. So that would be 90 points. So I'm just going to put some. Oh, I didn't do my budget here for this castle. We're in the woods. So I'm actually going to change the woods. And let me save. Because it would be. That would have been mostly turned into farmland. We're going to farmland that. Right. And I might turn some of these others into farmland as well. We'll see. All right. Now we got a level 9. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll have to add a note here, but I'm going to have. I don't know if I should change clear to farmland, but I think I might have clear work a little different, like to double the amount. But let's just do the stocking as it is. So we have, in terms of points, we've got 50. Yeah, times 2. So just be 100. I'm not going to have any scarcity here. And that would not be enough to support it. But I'm going to say that cleared or farmland. Okay. For cleared or farmland, this is where I have to see. This is where if I defined layer and settlement, double the hazard points for or I guess in clear or farmland hexes, double the hazard points for settlements. Or I guess to populate settlements. I might even do triple, but we'll see. Let's see what we get to. So we'll start with 200. And we'll see if we need to triple it. 200 points. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll just call it castle. Castle. 200 points. Lord X, ninth level fighter, that's 90 points. And he's got champions are what level? Champions are 7th level. 6 times. See, I don't think I have enough. These are level 7 fighters. So that would be 70 each. $70 points each. Let me see. 70 points each, but 6 times 7 was at 42. So that'd be 420 points. Okay. So we're already way over. We are already way over. I'm gonna have to come back. So we're at something like 500 some odd points. I'm gonna have to figure something out. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to. So what did we say it was? It was 200 points. So I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna. So this is gonna be. So this is kind of good. So this is we're getting something here. So I need more stocking. I need more stuff. So I need. So I'm gonna turn some of these into farmland, and they're all gonna feed into here. So 200 points for what I have is not enough. 400, 600, maybe 600 would probably be good. 800. I might use that for this one. So that's what. So here we go. And I'll have to write this up. Should I write this up here? So let's see. Strongholds. Maybe I should do that to populate strongholds. Strongholds. Oh no. Double the hazard point. All right, I'm gonna have to make have to make some notes here. Double farm include double the hazards for strongholds and settlements. All right, strongholds require settlements in the same hex and potentially in neighboring hexes. They are able to draw points from those aligned, those, I guess, claimed. I don't know. All right, so here's what we can do. This is going to be kind of cool, I think. So we're going to have these. So we're going to have these kind of retinues of retinues, kind of thing, right? So we've got 6 champions. It's funny they have them as retainers. Well, they are retainers. They are retainers. But I'm gonna scatter them about, and they're all gonna come in. So each one of these level 7 fighters is 70 points each. That's too much. But so we're just gonna do. Okay, got. Here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're going to. See, this whole area is gonna become a little duchy or something, a domain. So I need 6 more spots. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that works. So we're gonna go to features. What is that? Yeah, I'm gonna use this just because they're minor. Go 1, 2, 3. Okay. Following me so far. I know it looks like a lot of castles. They're not all gonna be amazing. Probably gonna be a lot of Mont and Bailey types for these, but we'll figure that out kind of later on. But this gives us some more places to put our roads. What was I gonna say? What do I need? Hold on. Oh yeah, I need to change the terrain. Okay, good. Now let's put another road. It's got our roads. Nope, not label shapes. Road. Line. All right, we got it snapping. No, snap. Snap, damn you, snap. So we can have another, there can be another bridging. Maybe even something like that. So now we got, let's just save our work here. So we've got this whole little community. Kicked out the poor lizard folk who have taken refuge here, but they've got at least some prisoners. Who knows what they're going to do with them? We've still got this mercenary camp out here. We've got this, and we got these guys out here, which may end up getting a similar treatment. I'm guessing maybe around here, but we'll roll to see. We can kind of roll to see who's there. I think. See, the interesting thing here is the kind of OD&D method, which I'm just going to stick with, which I guess is similar, not dissimilar from what you get in BX, is that it's a how would you describe it? Like there are no, I don't know how this would work. Essentially, you come up on a Yale castle, okay, and it's a lord. So castles have either it's a lord, a superhero, a wizard, a necromancer, a patriarch, or an evil high priest. These are all domain level characters. Lord level 9, superhero level 8, wizard I think 8 or 9, maybe 9, necromancer 8, patriarch maybe 8 or 9, high priest 8 or 9. What's right? So they're all these high level things. So you don't have the concept of some goof lord. There's no, oh, I'm just this goofy noble guy. Like they're all, it's a very much a a fantastic sort of fairy tale mythological thing where all these people are riding out and they're all, it's never anybody's. You don't ever run into a castle and it's some guy's 14, it's like the 14-year-old pimply kid whose father got sick and died, and so they got the throne, or maybe killed him on the toilet. Now this kid's there, but he's basically a normal man because he's basically not even been trained yet. There's nothing. You just don't get that. Like they're all lordly types, which on the one hand makes sense because that's how the game is set up. You're only getting domains when you're at these high levels, so it makes sense that at least the founders of these domains are these high level things. But it's just funny that I will probably, if I were going to write up some rules, which maybe I will, for doing these kinds of things, maybe write them up because it could be that they're just not that. I like the idea that maybe they're not that formidable, which I think is good for the party because it's everybody's. I hate that syndrome where everybody you run into is higher level than you. That happens in some games, and it annoys that. Not that everybody should be lower level. And I understand sometimes that people are so afraid that parties are going around just kicking people and just taking everything that you make everybody. The shopkeeper is a retired, wizard who's level 8. It's like, the bartender is level 7. It's like, every once in a while that's cool. But when it's all the time, it makes you just never feel like you're getting anywhere in the world. It's kind of like when enemies are scaling to you. It's like if everybody's higher level than me always, then no matter what level I go to, I'm always going to be the one that's being kicked around, treated like a turd on the bottom of somebody's shoe. No thanks. But for this example, I'm not going to mess around with it too much. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put those champions in these other castles. So Lord X. So I'm going to take out these champions. They're going to go on their own. So actually, I'll cut and paste. Or I'll hit that. And we have a village. All right. So he's 90 points, and we could put maybe some other lower levels, but then he's got all his retinue, which is these 6. So I rolled 6, so he's getting 6. But these retinue don't just live with him. It's that retinue of retinues. When he's his total army, if you will, whom he can call upon personally, will be those 6 champions. But they don't all live with him in his castle. They all live in these smaller, more modest. They could be manor houses. They could be castles. They could be kind of fortified manor houses. But they are sort of a fortified. So I'm going to split them up there. So we're going to have, champion estate, which I think they said it's 200 points. put those in parentheses, 200 points. And we're going to have at least one champion. That's a 7 hit die fighter. $70 points. And, you know, at some point we'll name them all. But I'm not concerned about that right now. And I think if you're on a river, I would say you could maybe add more. That's another good. I'll have to write that one down too. I think the budget you get more. Just you're better if you're next to water. I think that is a help. This one maybe I think was this grass or was this woods? I want to say maybe that was woods. Or was it grass? Oh, I'll just leave it like that. I'm not going to worry about it too much. So we have another champion state. And then the last one. Oops. Okay. Okay. So we have all these estates. They destroyed those poor lizard men, sent the survivors up here. They have definitely fortified this area, which it also makes sense that this is maybe somewhat wild, though at least maybe not to here. So we'll also change that terrain to farmland. So let's see who lives here. Let's see, a patriarch. Patriarch is a cleric, I think, of 9th level. Let's put a note. Castle of the Patriarch. Patriarch. There we go. Patriarch, which is a 9th level cleric. Would be 90 points. I think I'm going to have to repoint some of the stuff, but I'll leave the points. Because I know magic kind of makes a difference in the points part. So now if I look at who his retainers are, this will say of how much of this I'm going to have to we'll have to manipulate the environment for it to make sense. So I got to roll a d4. The choices for a patriarch are some heroes, superheroes, treants, or hippogriffs. I'm kind of hoping I get hippogriffs. That would be kind of cool. And I got treants. Oh, interesting. So how does that work? So d10 treants. D10. Where's my D10? 5. Wow. So treants are. Let's see what. Now in chainmail, treants, as I mentioned, as I saw yesterday, were only worth 15 points. I think that's a little bit of a shame. They're not even in. I guess it makes sense they wouldn't be in basic because they're not really dungeon creatures. Okay, dragons, Ifriti, pterodactyls, termites, treants. 8 hit dice. Wow. So we have, I said it was 4? No, 5. 5 times 10 hit die. Oh boy. Treants, They're worth 100 points each by default. Let me see that. Do they have the same kind of thing? Tree ants are 18 feet tall tree men. Oh, they're not 10 hit dice. They're 8. That's 80 points. That's a lot. All right. So what it says about tree ants in basic: 18-foot tall tree men who resemble trees. They're only concerned with protecting forests and plant life. They speak a slow and difficult tongue and distrust those who use fire. Because tree ants are often mistaken for normal trees, that's fine. One tree can animate any 2 trees within 60 feet to move at 30 feet and fight as tree ants. A tree ant may change which trees it is animating at will. So that it's not unlimited, which is how I think it is in chainmail. But they still only get 5, or they only get 15 points, and here they're 80 points. That's fine. I'm going to leave it alone. But we got to figure it out because he can't support. What did we say was something like 200, and he's already 90, and those are 80. Yeah, so these got to be spread out, but they can be in kind of these 5. That's kind of cool. I'm digging the tree ants here. All right, let's just save you for right now. What would be a good feature for that? Classic. Do we have anything good in creature? A fish. No. No, I don't want to use the line art. I suppose I need a something that could be a lair kind of thing for them. Let's see what could work. What is that? Construction. Oh, interesting. What is that? A white tree. The white tree of Gondor. All right, we'll do that. So we're going to go. Let's see. I need 5. 1, 2. Oh, that makes too much sense. Wow. I'm digging it. I don't know about you, but I am digging it. Treant. I'm just going to call them Treant Woods. I'm just going to do this in steps. All right. So this guy, so this is cool because this is interesting because now we can look at, and this is maybe a cleric is here. So it could be a monastery, a retreat, some sort of isolated. Maybe they're kind of a druidish, or at least they are. I guess that doesn't have to be a druid. I guess now we would say it was druid, but just a cleric of like a wilderness, like a forest. And so they live in this corner, and it's nice and protected by all kind of this stuff. So the tree ants are kind of keeping it. But there's a road, maybe he talks to these folks down here, but he's on his own. I'm digging that story. Now, in terms of if you come back here, so this is still, we're going to account. This is, we don't have to account since we've spread out their domain, we've spread that cost out. So they're still can call upon the 5 treants of the surrounding forests. So now we had 200 points. We got 90 for him. He can call upon them, but they don't live there. They're accounted for in the budgets of those other places. So that's okay. now we can say, let's see. So it's a patriarch, so maybe you'll have some heroes with him. All right, so if heroes would be 40 points each, that'd be 90. 40 would be 130. So let's just say he's got 2 times heroes, 4 HD fighters. That's 40 points. Let's see. So now we're at 130. Let's see. So now we've got what would be, maybe he's got some lower level clerics under him. So maybe we would say, what do we say? So it's 130. Vicars are level 4. They would also be 40 points. Or do we go with a couple of adepts? No, 40. Sorry, Vicars would not. Sorry, 40. It's not 40 points. 5 points. They're 20 points each. Ugh, that was. So 2 heroes. So we'll say, yeah, two Vicars, 4 HD clerics, also 20 points. And then, so that's 40. Now we're at 130. A handful of acolytes, right? Handful. So if we had 10 acolytes, that would be 20. All right, so 10 times acolytes, 1 HD clerics. That'll be another. I am thinking I'm gonna have to adjust magic casters, but we'll see. Okay, so 90. Right. So then we add 20, 40, 60. So we're at 150. So we'll say there's I don't know, 30 monks, normal men. That's 30. And then 20 men at arms. Will also be normal men. Does that add up? Did I do that right? Is my math correct? 90, 110, 130, 150, 180, 200. Yep. So there we go. We got a patriarch. Call upon the treants. La 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 la, treants. Or I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the treant call would be. He's got a couple of heroes. Now, if you're doing that kind of retinue of retinues, we might go in and say the heroes each have some attachment, maybe a couple of folks with them, but I'm gonna skip all that right now. Maybe I'll make some. That'll be where I can make some packages of here's like a hero and his entourage, because I'm still not exactly sure how many people they have around. I'd love to see some numbers, some kind of interesting, just to get an idea of what historically when these guys were wandering around. You have like a knight or something. Not necessarily a really big lord, but just kind of your kind of average, maybe knight errant or somebody. Like how many they have, I guess, a squire and I don't know, or 2, or what was the range there? It might be fun to check out. In any case, so we got a patriarch, got 5 treants that are part of his retinue. You have 2 heroes, 2 vicars, 10 acolytes, 30 monks that are normals, and then 20 kind of men-at-arms soldiers who are also normals. Cool. I'm satisfied with that. And also notice that by doing this like this, it's not intentional, just kind of the way it is. The map's also getting filled up. Now the map seems borderline busy because we have all these things going on. But again, these castles, I might downgrade these to kind of manor houses. Maybe they're kind of fortified, but they're probably wooden. Yeah, this maybe is stone, like a real castle, or real, like a more stone shell keep, some kind of something like that. And then this is a tower, and these will be kind of lower down the totem pole. So um, it seems a lot because of it seems busy because of the icons, but I think it makes sense. And if I wanted to do some, which might be just kind of, maybe, I don't know if it's fun, but we can add some borders. Why did they make all the things so huge? We could think about, also, let me make sure. Okay, it is already snapping. Good. So we've got, oh, actually, whoops. Let me, here we go. That this is kind of one, it's going to go over the top of my road, isn't it? Yep. Sorry, road. Oh, you know what? Oh, shoot, I didn't do it. Right. Almost sorry. I don't want to do it as a line. I want to do it as a polygon. Still want snapping. Yeah. I'll do that. Now we're going to move. Yeah, move. So now if we wanted to look at some different rules for what's happening in kind of the settled parts of this region with the wilder parts, well, we got some markers, and then here it could be another one. So now it's making me wonder if that road, maybe there won't be a bridge there. I was thinking before that they would be kind of connected, but maybe not. Maybe not. So there we go. And it might be for purposes of just illustrate. It might be, move it so it kind of goes, maybe goes that way instead, it kind of stays off the river, which would probably make sense. Maybe the whole river originally was sort of dangerous. I don't know. Or it could be that, I think maybe this road I'll probably just jettison. Except like it doesn't seem like I can. Oh no. Well, anyway, I'll probably have to come back and do a more final map. I'll just leave it like that. We got some nice sub regions here almost. We got this kind of, maybe there's some sort of, is there a river asymmetric coast river border? No, I want something like I'd love to do some kind of cliff line because I think that would be kind of cool, but I don't think there's a way to do it. Oh, I can change the z-axis. Oh. Oh ho. Does that work? Oh, I didn't select one. There we go. Nice. Now maybe it makes sense to make these a little bit bigger. And then we can also maybe drop that opacity down. Oh, look, would you look at that? Let's do the same thing with you. Now, 10. Drop your opacity down to 50. Okay. Oh, not the row. What? Not you. Dummy. Dummy. And then you, I want to bring you up. Nope. Okay. That look good? Okay, yeah. All right, that looks mucho beturno. So now we got these two, we got these areas here. This is the patriarch of the wood. I don't know. I don't know. And we have some kind of barony, duchy, whatever down here. A little, I suppose it could be a petty kingdom. I don't know. I always feel, I know that there are king doesn't have anything, people claim to be kings without their, let's say, having tons of land. But I always find it weird if I'm picking some small thing and saying, I am a king. I know, but there were city states that had kings and things like that. I know it shouldn't bother me or it shouldn't affect me, but I don't know. I tend to not do that. Well, I don't know. We'll see what to call it. And then we have some kind of these, and we have some wilder spaces. Now, I'd love to see, like I said, some kind of. I wonder if there's a. Oh, elevation. What does elevation look like? What is an elevation thing? I don't think I've tried elevation. Oh, I got to do it the other way. Can I reverse that? How do I? So that's exactly what I want, but it's going the wrong way. Can I do it? If I do it this way, does that fix it? I think that does it, actually. Oh, shoot. That's one. Yeah. Hey, Dice Tales. Wondering what software this is or what program is being used to create the map. This is Worldographer. Worldographer, I guess it would be DOS. There's a new one, 2025. I just don't have it up and running at the moment. So I'm using the one that I have. I like these. I didn't realize I had that. I mean, it's it does make me fear the busyness of that a bit. I wonder if there's a way to offset it so that it's. What options do I have? Oh, I do have offset X, offset Y. What does offset X do? Does that do anything? No. What is it supposed to do? Oh, that's a drop shadow. I don't have a drop shadow. Okay. I'd love to. I would love to move because what I'd love to do is have this part aligned to the edge. I think it might just be easier, or just might speak better to me. But I don't want to do it by hand. All right, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Dice Tales, you are welcome. Yeah, Worldographer is a great is a really good app. It is the deepest kind of mapping app, I think, with associated features that you're going to find. The UI takes getting used to. It has its own way of doing things, and it can be difficult. It doesn't necessarily make the most beautiful maps. I think there's a beauty to just a map that's, I don't know, put together. But you can get different icon sets. You can make your own icon sets. You can import icon sets. You can do a lot of stuff. I'm using just its generic icons. But in terms of everything you can do, everything it does, there's not a better one. You do have to pay for it. It's not free. Though there is a demo. I think you can get a demo with pretty that I don't know what the limits are in the demo, but you can get a demo. Check it out. I've used it for years and years. I think it's definitely worth the cost. It's a small company that puts it out. Inkwell Ideas. They're nice, great folks. Yeah, it's just a good. It'll do everything you need to do, I think, and more and more. I'm always discovering, just like these elevation things. I'm always discovering some things that I didn't know before, so I can use those for some kind of cliff lines, which is great, which is cool, because then you get this idea that, oh, there's, here's a way in. Oh, I should probably fix this one. Forget how to control drag, shift click delete. There we go. All right. What else do I need to do? I mean, how much time do I have? I'm gonna need to get some lunch in me shortly. All right, I think methinks what I will do is let's go over what we've got, and then I think I will call this one a stream. I might be back. The family's coming back today. I'm not sure what time yet, so I might have more time. I might not. I know I always say that, and then I don't end up doing anything, but I mean to. It's just, life gets in the way. Well, let's go over what we got here as we're ending things up. So up here in this corner, in these barrens and these badlands, we've got a nest of 3 small rocks. We've got a lair of some displacer beasts, and we have this dwarf who's MIA, missing. Maybe, and again, if we want to tie it in there, maybe there's some of the dwarves that stayed in town, and maybe they're inquiring. This could be, of course, an adventure hook. We were prospecting in these areas here for resources, and they got lost, so that's kind of an option we have here. We've got this mercenary encampment here. We have an orc encampment here. We've got a patriarch's domain here with their retainers of treants who control this wooded area. Hey, Krister, you missed the lion's share of the stream. There is some non-zero chance I'll stream some more after getting something to eat, but go back it up and go back to the beginning and check it out if you feel like it. I think there was some cool, good stuff in here. So I don't know. I think it's worth it, but it's probably a lot of me blathering on about whatever. So we got this patriarch with his treant controlled woods. We've got this lord here with his retinue that control this area. There were our first original idea was there were some lizard folk who were here, and they're there, and then we just determined that they used to be here in some kind of village settlement that got destroyed by these guys and were driven out, and now the remnants are here, but they've got some prisoners. Maybe they got some bargaining room. Who knows? Maybe it could be another angle here with them and the woodland, especially if we decide that lizardmen aren't just, cannibalistic lizard people, then, which I think is less interesting, I guess, than some other options. Then there's might be another angle of a little triangle here. So we got some interesting triangles. I thought that, which I really didn't get to flesh out today, this idea that the orcs who also have some hostages, and that this mercenary group was hired by somebody to get back the hostages. But I also think that I was thinking that there'd be some kind of double cross. So there's some maybe connection between these guys or someone here who hired some mercs to go deal with these orcs who have a prisoner that they want. But then I was also thinking that, well, the evil wizard and stuff, who's a high level character, right? They're not just, they maybe they're masquerading as not as being somebody less powerful, but they might want to actually take over here, or maybe even get in here. And so what they actually want to do is get the orcs to combine forces and maybe take on these guys. So we have there's some nice triangles, these relationships between these kind of, I guess, factions, right? We have orcs faction, we have the patriarch faction, we have the lord faction, we got the lizard folk faction, we have the mercs faction, and then we kind of have just some nice monster types up here. And then of course we can we can come up with some wandering creatures to see who might just be cruising through those woods. These are all the kind of layers / settlements that are here. And so I think this is a cool, there's a lot going on in this area and a lot of different angles. And once you start to, whether we end up doing it or if you were to take this into your home campaign, all these different lieges of this guy, whoever he is, they might have their own angles about stuff as well. And then of course there's, who knows what you could discover if you started just working your way through this areas here. Yeah, I'm digging it. I am digging it, folks. I hope you guys are digging it as well. And I will try to put it together as something if I had the wherewithal to do that. And we'll see. But I like what it's doing. I like how it's, going through these steps has definitely helped. I do like this point stocking by points. I think it's got some cool things that you can do with it. Just the way it, at least for me, makes me think about doing things, I think is interesting. And maybe it might speak to you as a way of doing things, either in addition to the dice, working in conjunction, which I've done it, or just using it as its own thing and then using your own ideas. And I think on yesterday's stream and today's stream, I've done a combination of both. Some stuff where I was using it in addition to the dice. Some stuff I was just using it because, like, oh yeah, this is what I want here, which I think is cool. And of course, I've also broken rules and come up with edge cases and figured things out when I had to. But that's fine, because really it's all about what you end up at the end. It's not about sticking to a rule just to stick to it, or a procedure, right? Break them when you need to. So that's what I got. We will see if I will end up being back later on. But if not, enjoy the rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this, everybody. Game on. I'll talk to you later. Bye now.